Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 83. We are really getting up there now. I'm going to have to call my AARP and get all that figured out, because we're getting closer to 100, man, and things are just getting wild. But we can't do this without not one but two great gentlemen beside me, none other than Craig and George. How you doing today, guys?
We're doing great, man. Glad to have George join the podcast again, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We got a lot of stuff to talk about in a brand new segment that we're introducing today.
Oh yeah,
excited.
Absolutely, boys. I'm really stoked to be back on the Final Score here. I'm going to bring you guys something very special that is near and dear to my heart, slightly suffering, but it's okay. We're going to get to it, and I'm really stoked for it. Not to mention, there's so much to talk about, and there's a lot of controversy. I mean, Shawn Michaels knows about controversy. We all know about controversy, and there's quite a bit going on in the world of sports, man. Let's get to it.
Oh, yeah, so much going on. But to make sure to keep up on all things Final Score, excuse me, you need to make sure that you follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go on there, give us a like, give us a follow. Go ahead and leave us a comment, send us a message, invite your friends, share with your friends. Go like everything that we have. We just like having that interaction with you guys, and yeah, we're never short of that, because I tell you what, this phone's like attached like to my body at all times, so can't get away from us. So come interact with us, come follow us, and come see all the great things that we have going on at Final Score. But to kick things off, we got to talk about the NFL and all the insanity happening there right now, because it's been quite hell of a week for the NFL and all the teams. What do you guys think about all this craziness going on?
Well, Thanksgiving weekend never ceases to disappoint every single year.
Every year.
It's been great, especially with COVID getting thrown in. You've got all these storylines happening, and you had Thursday night's game is postponed to Sunday. Now it's Tuesday. We don't even know if they're gonna play it. There's a lot of stuff happening here, a lot of stuff to unpack.
Oh no, absolutely. And right now, I think the NFL, man, they must have every freaking announcer and analyst in their pockets, because every single one of them is talking about how, well, you know, we're modeling our system as reporters and as analysts by the NFL, and they're doing such a great job, Really? Really?
That, my friends, is what you call sweeping stuff under the rug. That is exactly what NFL is great at. That the shield is always about protecting the shield, and they've been really good at covering that kind of stuff up. I mean, look at the running joke of their referees over the last couple of years, and the fact that they've done nothing about it.
Yeah.
So, but
I mean, let's just go down the list real quick then, boys. What's going on with the NFL right now? Let's see. Steelers and Ravens probably going to be canceled. Andrews, tight end for the Ravens, just put on the COVID-19 list. Jackson's on the COVID-19 list. They have 18 other players on the COVID-19 list. The Broncos don't have a quarterback. They keep trying to call Peyton Manning, but he's filming a commercial right now.
No, they're bringing John Elway down. What are you talking about?
John Elway. There you go.
Pending physical. Pending physical.
Yeah,
the 49ers have two home games, and during those 2 home game weeks, guess what? Santa Clara has a ban on contact sports. So it looks like they're going to be playing flag football. For those 2
They
weeks.
already do.
That's true.
They already played it. No, but all this, Hashtag thanks COVID is basically the running joke this year for 2020. But looking at like how many games have been affected by COVID this year, and now this is just really kind of just come to a head because you mentioned 18 players from the Ravens organization, and Lamar Jackson you mentioned is on that list, but it was tweeted and then removed a minute later because the NFL didn't want that information out there, which is really, really kind of peculiar to me.
Well, it's because now it's like before it was COVID-19 players for certain guys, right? You know, certain guys that aren't going to kill the ratings. But as soon as a starting quarterback gets it, all of a sudden, hey, there's no such thing. Sweep it under the rug. Delete all tweets. It becomes it becomes like a conspiracy theory going on, man. And the NFL is not handling this right. I'm sorry. They are not. They have not handled it all year long. They are not handling it in the best way. They didn't change anything. They didn't try to change the schedule. They didn't try to, create maybe bubble states or something along those lines. They continue to just go, let's see what happens.
Yeah, even to the point now where you see teams that are getting in a lot of trouble. We already saw what happened with the Raiders and the slap that they got. New Orleans just got fined $500,000 and lost a 7th-round pick. So there's a lot of craziness going on with how they're handling it, and I feel like they're taking more of a authoritarian approach, more of a, just don't do it and everything will be okay. Well, that's not how this works. We're talking about a pandemic. We actually haven't, had one of these in a while. So, maybe let's brush up a little bit and realize you can't just bring down the rule book on everybody every time something happens and think that's going to fix the problem. It's not. This is very, very obvious. And now we're getting to the point where we've been so lucky so far not to have a single game actually canceled yet. But now we're on that verge. And, with the Steelers-Ravens matchup, that's an important matchup. That's a divisional rivalry game. Could have certain implications going towards playoffs if we finish the whole season. So
both
at the
are
end,
in the playoffs.
Yeah, so
right
you can't even cancel this game. But now we're looking down the barrel that it might actually get flat out canceled and not played. So the NFL has a lot of things on the table supposedly, including a 16-team playoff with a complete reseeding and all these different contingency plans. But if you just approach this correctly to begin with, hey, we wouldn't be dealing with this right now. Just saying. But
oh, absolutely. And not to mention that you got the Steelers that are at 10-0 right now, and Mike Tomlin is doing nothing but every week proving that he's coach of the year. I know we talked about it last time, and I was a big coach of the year. I know.
Not in my book.
I know.
Not in my book.
I know. You're rooting on Flores over there, or was it Patricia? Maybe he's coach of the year.
He's coach of the year.
Said no one ever.
I'm trying to wait. I'm letting y'all do your thing. But, look at the Steelers and who they've played. They haven't really played many good teams. So the fact that they're 10-0 isn't really. I mean, yeah, you went 10-0, but look who you played.
It's the NFL. This is the best of the best of the best. Who cares? A win is a win, sir. Because I've seen teams like, my lowly at one time 4-12 Eagles, where one of those 4 wins was against the eventual Super Bowl champion. So, at the end of the day, it goes both ways. This is the NFL. This isn't high school where you can expect Lakeland or De La Salle to win every single time. We're talking about real pro football where every team always has a shot unless you're the Cleveland Browns and this is just your one lucky year.
How does a 4-12 win over eventual Super Bowl champion have anything to do with that?
Just because it shows that records don't always show how good you are one way or the other. Boom.
We'll see.
So
I don't know.
Jimmy,
the Steelers fans are pissed. Let me tell you. Have you seen how pissed they are?
Oh,
what are they pissed about? I got to be honest.
You're 10-0. How can you be mad?
How can you be mad? You have a soft schedule. You're 10-0. All right?
They're just mad. They're mad because they want a signature win against the Ravens, because all that's going to do is going to hype them up. They're going to get 11, 12, 13-0 and then fall flat on their face in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely could happen, but again, that's why we play the games. Because don't forget, Tim Tebow beat the Steelers once. Don't forget that.
That's right. Tim effing Tebow.
Yes, he did.
So Jimmy makes a good point in the chat. First of all, We got a few people jumping in and watching. First of all, welcome, thank you, welcome to Final Score. Drop your comments in the chat here and let us know. We're going to be answering some of these live while we're going. And Jimmy Labar, one of our resident super fans here of the show, love him to death. Thank you so much. He said, take away a Raiders draft pick like it's the team's fault, but the league is a joke.
Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Harsh. But he's right.
Taking away a draft pick isn't going to do much for COVID.
Does it stop people from getting COVID? Does it prevent it from spreading?
Yeah.
No? Then why are we doing it? Like, come on now. All you're doing is hurting future competition. So ridiculous.
That is true. That is true. But as you mentioned, that the Saints Broncos game is in jeopardy. All three of Denver's QBs are out right now on the COVID list, and you were talking about bringing in one of the coaches, but some news that's come out on that is that supposedly Broncos have a player on their practice squad at wide receiver, Kendall Hinton, who's expected to make the start today.
Oh my goodness.
Now, he did play quarterback at Wake Forest, but I also want to point out a fun fact about Kendall Hinton, because this is the research that we do here on the show. Kendall Hinton has more recent touchdown passes than an NFL starter.
Ooh.
Anybody want to take a guess?
I'm going to say Carson Wentz.
Oh!
How'd I know?
That is close.
You could probably put Dak Prescott in there too, but
he's got as many playoff wins as Carson Wentz, but that's true. That's close. It's
Killing
close.
me.
No, Kendall Hinton has more recent of a touchdown pass than Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints.
Well, no. Makes sense.
Taysom Hill last threw a touchdown pass November 26, 2016 in college at BYU, and Hinton threw a pass in 2017 when he was in a backup relief role at Clemson at Wake Forest.
And today's random fact of the day is
right there.
Are we ESPN now?
Like Detroit Lions. That was
I just think that's a hilarious little fact, but yeah, of all Week 12 action, before we get into recap the games, obviously the best news of the weekend. I would play a music clip, but I don't want it taken down for copyright. The Lions. Finally, we did that one time and it didn't work.
Yeah.
The Lions finally fired Fat Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. Thank you. Dear Jesus, Christmas came early for the Detroit Lions. Thank you.
Well,
and we were all expecting it.
I think
absolutely.
Let
me tell you, that was just that was so needed beyond belief, man.
It's been needed.
Stafford is a phenomenal quarterback. He's really good, and you did not do anything to protect him. You didn't do anything from a running game.
I don't know if he's on AJ Styles level. I don't know if we can call him phenomenal.
Oh.
Serviceable.
Phenomenal, like in his current AJ Styles career, not phenomenal like his prime.
From a talent
TNA days.
From a talent standpoint, Matt Stafford is a top 10 QB. From a supporting role,
bottom of the barrel.
He's at the Carson Wentz spot right there, bottom of the barrel, just scraping up there. Yeah, that's kind of where that's at.
That's a good analogy.
I mean, from a supporting cast role, he's up there. He's up there with Carson Wentz. Like, he's got no help. And it's just, you see all the flaws in their game because of that. So I'm just so ungodly happy. Like, if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, I was celebrating like all night. We're supposed to be watching Christmas movies. I'm in the studio cracking a beer, having a cold one, doing my best Stone Cold impression, celebrating the fact that Matt Patricia is finally gone and we can actually do something in Detroit. But now the question's going to be, who's going to take his place? And I've got one option right now. Two options, actually.
Don't say it's a New England Patriots quarterback or a coach that we all know.
Nope. If it's not Eric Bieniemy of the Chiefs, the offensive coordinator, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I know this is gonna cause this is gonna cause some big rift in amongst my Michigan fan base. Here.
John Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh.
Or Jim Harbaugh. Whatever. One of those Harbaughs.
Jim Harbaugh. He's not doing well at Michigan. He's had success as an NFL coach. It doesn't last very long, but all you need in Detroit is you need to just do what Jim Schwartz did back in the day. Just bring that edge back.
Hey.
Bring that back. Just saying.
It looks like the Detroit Lion fans, they sound like, that they love to just suffer. Like, hey, yeah, let's bring in
50 plus years.
Jim Harbaugh. That's a great idea.
50 plus years of
Said
hurt
no
will
one
do
ever.
that to you, okay? 50 plus years of hurt will do that to you.
I'm sure it does, dude. I'm sure, but
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
I would love to go get Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City. I think he'd be a great hire.
That would be a great hire. But if you want to continue just the struggle and the sadness and just the epic, just crushing pressure of just being one of the worst teams in the league, then yeah, go ahead, hire Jim Harbaugh, because we saw how great it's been at Michigan.
I'm just
at
throwing
that
out
point, let's throw out
here.
options. You know what, Craig? You should be the next coach of the Detroit Lions, because I have more faith in you than I do Jim Harbaugh.
There you go.
A
Craig for coach.
49-22-1 record with a 5-3 postseason record and getting the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure that's a little bit of a resume builder.
I don't know. Maybe they can go ahead and try and re-lure Jim Caldwell back.
Immediately turned around the San Francisco 49ers from 3-13 to a Super Bowl contending team.
Oh yeah. With none of his own players, and then ran the team right back into the ground. Because,
it's okay.
Because on the back of a great defense. Dude, the 49ers were a joke then. They got lucky. And what has he done since?
He's got as many titles as Notre Dame right now. It's okay. I get it. It's cool, man. I'm just throwing out options.
We have 11 titles sitting in the cupboard.
I would love
these numbers.
The enemy. I'm just throwing out options.
These numbers right
Unlike you guys over here, I'm throwing out options here.
Because Detroit has no options.
Ding, ding, ding. I'm calling that round. I'm calling it a draw. It was as boring as the damn Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fight.
I knew it was going to come up.
All right. You knew it was going to come up, Luckily, you guys are a little bit more seasoned, but, still, I think Tyson might be in better shape than all of us. But
Tyson actually was the winner of that fight. I don't know why it went to a draw.
Yeah, he landed more punches, almost twice as many.
Because it wasn't a boxing match, man.
It was
a reboot.
Oh,
it was a damn reboot. It was a nostalgia TV show. It's like they brought back Transformers and just said, "Here you go."
Hey, look, I'm Mike Tyson.
But if you are very quick to forget, the WBC actually made a title for this fight.
Did they really?
No, they did.
That's sad.
Called the Frontline Championship.
Oh my god, no.
Anyways.
But hey, guess what? Guaranteed $1 million for each person.
Oh my gosh.
And then Tyson could take home as much as $10 million from that fight. And let's not forget Nate Robinson still sleeping.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, let's get back to NFL. This is ridiculous.
Next up, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Can we see that,
ridiculous.
please?
The Frontline Championship. Let's see.
So
it.
ridiculous.
I want to
Anyways,
see Jake Paul get his ass knocked out.
we're going to transition over to these great Thursday Thanksgiving games that we had. And we're going to kick off with your lowly Lions, who got blasted by the Texans 41-25. Deshaun Watson looked surgical, being able to complete 17 of 25 passes, 318 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 of which went to Will Fuller, along with 171 yards. Absolute insane day. Tell you what, you can never knock on those Notre Dame wide receivers when they come in the league. They always find a way to do something great, and Will Fuller is another testament to that. Oh yeah, I see you shaking your head. It's okay. There's no good Michigan players anymore.
One out of the two that are in the league.
Yeah.
Hey, there used to be like 3 or 4.
Thank you for that. So hey, just for the sake of time, the best news that came out of this game: the Lions fired Matt Patricia. Moving on.
Oh, and their GM Bob Quinn. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
There's 2 firings.
In Bob we trust no longer.
Absolutely
and
insane.
In the next game, we had the Washington Football Club, because I'm still going to call it right.
But they are in sole possession of NFC East first place, so they should be a team right now.
No, they're still a club. They're still going to be a club because they're still 4-7, like my fantasy record.
Oof.
All right.
Oof. That's painful.
Let me tell you, big ups to Antonio Gibson, who had himself a day. 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. Alex Smith he was surgical with running the offense and not turning it over. And the Washington Football Club / team, because they're getting there, they end up beating the Dallas Cowboys, and Steven Smith had another aneurysm, thank God. Alex, 41-16. Steven Smith can go and cry and whine about how bad the Cowboys are now.
Oh yeah,
The Cowgirls.
the Cowgirls. No, like the Cow-its.
If you are a Cowboys fan, you've at least got to take solace in the fact that Amari Cooper had a good game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 112 yards and a touchdown.
Where's Zeke Elliott? You know, what's he doing?
Oh, yeah, like 30 yards. He didn't even have enough of an impact to be on this graphic.
Who has taken more of a huge downturn since Dak Prescott's injury than Zeke Elliott? Like Zeke Elliott's production has fallen off a cliff since Dak Prescott got hurt.
It's almost like he just lost his best buddy right now. It's really what it is. They are a 1-2 punch. Yeah, and if anything, it proved to Jerry Jones, hey, pay the man. Pay Dak Prescott. Quit screwing around. You know, if you want to have a legitimate shot to be a competitive team in the NFL, you got to pay your trio or, you know, your core guys. That's what it comes down to. Whether it's a receiver quarterback combo, you know, Brady, Evans, whatever, you know, they don't have a solid running game in Tampa Bay, but they have that Brady and Evans, Brady and Gronk. So there's your, you know, your core guys. It was always Zeke and Dak. Pay those two.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, it's those two. Yeah, those two are definitely the combination that you need to keep around, especially, you know, trying to anchor that defense a little bit better, because good Lord, that defense looked bad in that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cowboys clearly got a lot of work to do. I don't think Mike McCarthy was ever the answer, but that was the big splash that Jerry Jones wanted to make, and now you can see it's come to bit him in the backside. So, so we'll see how the Cowboys kind of manage from here, because you know McCarthy's going to be on the hot seat already after year one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they give him one more year, and if it doesn't go well with Dak, they fire him mid-season or even earlier.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you, because you know how Jerry Jones. So for as much of a leash as Jerry Jones gave Jason Garrett, look at all the coaches that he had before that. Not many got long leashes like Jason Garrett did, because Garrett was his guy that was groomed. He was the quarterback on the team, the backup quarterback, and then, you know, worked through the organization. Look at all the coaches, even the big names before that, how he clashed heads with the Jimmy Johnsons of the world. Like, they didn't last very long under Jones, and I don't think Mike McCarthy will either, unless he really turns it around quickly.
My whole thing with the situation that I see here is that, you know, it's ideal to want to give Mike McCarthy another year, obviously, because of what happened with Dak Prescott. You don't know what the true potential of his coaching could be and the effect it could have by not having that kind of guy there. However, if this gets bad enough and you still can't find ways to win, especially even with a former starter and Andy Dalton, and be able to turn this thing around and try and get some type of traction, I don't even know if he can make it out of this season. Now, if he ends up going and he only ends up with 4 or 5 wins, I think he might be gone, because we've seen a lot of coaches these days. You have to win with what you got. And, you know, part of the reason they got Andy Dalton was as an insurance policy for Dak Prescott for this very reason. And we haven't seen a whole lot of success out of it yet. Now, we're starting to see a little bit of traction. Obviously, the game Dallas played last week was a lot better of a game. They were able to come away with the W. But this week, it's just more crap. And to have 41 hung on you by Washington, like that shouldn't happen in any way, shape, or form, no matter who's on the field. So, especially with that defense with Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith, that is a great defense that has been playing like trash because of poor coaching. I don't think it's the talent. I think it all comes down to coaching. So,
I will agree with you to an extent, but don't sleep. Like, the big knock on Washington has been their offensive production. But if you are very quick to forget, they've had a running game the last couple of years. They've had a running game. It's just the receivers and the quarterback that's been the issue. Alex Smith is the ultimate game manager, and if he's not turning the ball over, you give your team a chance to win, and you'll see what happens when you can let that defense, Chase Young and company, just pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. You see the results of that. So Washington, especially with Ron Rivera, how good of a hire was that?
That's
How
a
good
great.
of a hire.
I was a great hire when I
I
saw
would
it.
love to have.
That's a
Yeah.
team that's going to be well coached down the stretch here, boys. That's
Absolutely.
going to be a team that's going to be well coached down the stretch. Their offensive line and their D line is their core when you really think about it.
Surprisingly.
Their offensive line has been very good the last few years and has produced running backs that you go, wait, who's this guy? I don't know. Put him in my fantasy lineup, though.
I agree to an extent, though, just because the O-line has been good at times, but it's also been bad at times because we've seen a lot of consistency issues when it comes to the Washington running game. But the big thing I see is that now they do have something to roll and build off of. When you have a guy like Gibson, a rookie going 20 carries for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns, especially against a Dallas defense that's honestly better than what the record shows, that means something. Alex Smith is honestly, when it comes to Alex Smith, that dude's lucky to be on the field, and you are an amazing person to be able to go everything that you've went through and to be able to be in the position that you are to get this W on Thanksgiving. You have the most to be thankful for. You are the man. But still, only 19 of 26, 149 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. That's not stellar. It's serviceable. It's game manager level, but it gets the job done, and it's great just to see him play. But Washington has a lot to build off of. It's going to take time. But I feel like these are two clubs going in opposite directions right now. So we'll see how it ends up working out. But we got a whole bunch of games, man.
That's right. 1 p.m. games are coming in hot, and I don't know about you, but let's get to it. Let's see what we got going on. Let's go with Chris. What do we got first up?
First up, we got the 6-4 Las Vegas Raiders traveling out to Atlanta to take on the 3-7 Falcons. Vegas is favored by 3, over/under set at 53.5. This game also will be on CBS. This is going to be an interesting game because I think the Falcons, even without Julio Jones, are going to be able to be a team that's very serviceable, that's still able to put up yards, put up points. At least he better because I need it for fantasy, and be able to actually show that, hey, we are a team that we're good once. However, even with the loss Vegas had when the game literally was given away in the last 30 seconds because, who wants to protect the middle of the end zone or anything. But at the end of the day, the Raiders are a good team. They are a very good 6-4 team who have a win over our defending Super Bowl champions. I think Vegas is going to be able to come in here with a very strong running game, a serviceable passing game, but more importantly, a pretty staunch defense. And I think they're going to be able to hold the Falcons down. They'll cover the 3, but I still think this will be a generally like mid-scoring game, maybe in the 20s or 30s. So I think it'll be good.
Definitely would be. I expect Josh Jacobs to have himself a day against that atrocious run defense of the Falcons. Craig, what do we got next on the next matchup? This one I like, buddy. I like this matchup. Tell me about it.
Yeah, next matchup we're talking about the LA Chargers 3-7 traveling out to Buffalo 7-3. This game's going to be on CBS. It's a 4.5 spread for Buffalo. Over unders at 52.5. Just kind of I'm looking at this game to be a little bit, maybe not so much a track meet, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer than you might expect. Justin Herbert's been playing pretty well this year. About 2,700 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, only 6 picks. And just kind of looking how this team has stayed in some games. Buffalo's got a really, really solid defense, though. So that's going to be the big matchup, is I want to see Justin Herbert against Buffalo Bills defense. I'm going to take Buffalo to cover the spread of 4.5 and take this game at home to extend to 8-3 on the year and just extend that AFC East lead.
You know what, man? I'm going to just throw this on as a possible trap game. It's not cold enough yet in Buffalo. It's not freezing. All right? We should be talking about some snow over there. I think the Chargers have a chance. And I'm going to say it's going to be a field goal kind of game. Chargers pull it out. But next up, we got the New York Football Giants at 3-7, going to Cincinnati Bengals at 2-7-1 on Fox. Line is 6 for the Giants. Over under is 44. I see that in this outline I'm looking at. It looks like. Did you give me this one just so I could ask for the toilet flush?
Yes, I think I did because I've already had it ready to go. So let's go ahead and hit it.
Ready. Let's freaking hit it. This would have been a fun game to see if Joe Burrow was playing, to be honest, to see really if what Joe Burrow had in store. Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, man. I don't see that dude getting any better. I'm sorry. I really don't. I mean, his Danny Dimes days are done. He is now Danny sometimes Dimes, because sometimes it's on and sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know, way off. Uh,
Oh my gosh.
so I will look at the New York Football Giants to kind of take this one. They're not going to cover the spread, and it's a game that you could easily pass up on. Let's move on to the next.
Yeah, very easy game to overlook. But in our next one, we have the 7-3 Tennessee Titans traveling on over to Indianapolis to take on the also 7-3 Colts. Line set at 3 in favor of Indy, over and under at 51.5. This game is going to be interesting. I think this is going to be a true test for both these teams. Indianapolis, though, is going to have to stop the running game. Derrick Henry is an absolute just wildebeest running out there that is unstoppable in every way. You saw him win games in OT just being like, hey, let me just go rush this in for 30 yards and just win this real quick. NBD, guys. That's the kind of player he is. And I think he's going to be able to show that again against this Colts defense that has been improving, but just isn't going to have enough to stop a guy like him. He's a generational player. So this game, I think, is going to come down to the wire. It will be close, but the Titans, I think, are going to end up banging this one out, and it's going to be on the legs of Derrick Henry.
So do you have like short-term memory loss or something, dude? Because I'm pretty sure that the Colts swallowed Derrick Henry like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
they did.
Details.
This is definitely one of those games. This is game of the week because it is a division game too. All right, and they're both 7-3. We'll get to it later, and I'll tell you why I completely disagree with you, my friend. But
oh yes,
the Colts will be swallowing Derrick Henry whole. Trust me.
Yeah, no, not happening today for my friend. But that's okay, you know. Everybody has an opinion. It's okay.
Next game, Carolina Panthers 4-7 at Minnesota Vikings, who are 4-6. Minnesota's the favored by 3 here. Over under set at 50. This game's going to be on Fox. This is going to be a fun storyline game because Teddy Bridgewater is scheduled to return. And of course, he played in Minnesota for a number of years. But what I'm really looking at here is I'm hinging this game on, is Christian McCaffrey going to be available and ready to play? If yes, I think Carolina's got a very good chance to win this game. If not, I'm going to look at Dalvin Cook, who's second leading rusher in the NFL with over 1,000 yards rushing. And, you know, Adam Thielen's got 11 touchdown catches on the year. Justin Jefferson's having a monster rookie year, 800 and just shy of 850 receiving yards. If Christian McCaffrey does not play, I think the Minnesota Vikings will take this and cover the spread. If McCaffrey does play, I think we've got a pick'em game on our hands.
There you go. I agree with you there. I don't think McCaffrey's playing though, man. I don't think McCaffrey's playing.
Yeah,
I think
signs are saying no. Signs are saying no at the moment. We don't know. We don't know for sure till game time.
Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs in the league right now. Where did he go? Oh yeah, FSU. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh.
How many players do they have in the NFL?
More than Notre Dame.
Less than Notre Dame, but that's okay. How many are starters? Get back to me on that one.
Well, Jameis Winston was supposed to start, but you know.
Who is that? Who?
The I'm too blind to steal these crab legs correctly, Jameis Winston. Oh man. Oh, and just a quick stat correction. Even when the Colts and Titans did play, Derrick Henry still had 103 yards rushing, so didn't bottle him up all that well. So either way, though, just saying.
You guys are cute.
Right,
you guys are cute when you argue.
Right, we'll get
you guys are so cute when you argue.
I'm gonna buy him some flowers later. It's okay.
All right. Next up, we got the Arizona Cardinals at 6-4, traveling to New England Patriots at 4-6 on Fox. The line is Arizona at 2, over under at 49.5. This one is being chalked up a little bit tighter than you would think.
Yeah.
Right. Unusually, and that's because the Patriots are finding their way a little bit, and they have a couple players that are starting to play. You know, Jacoby Myers is starting to show up. Harris has been running the ball very effectively, and if Cam Newton doesn't turn it over and just game manages, their defense can come up with some plays. It's not going to be enough for this Arizona offense, man. Kyler Murray is just absolute beast. He's been cleared. His shoulder's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. He can run it. He can throw it. He's got 2 healthy running backs that they can now rotate with Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds. Chalk that up with, I don't know. Is he the best receiver in the league? Can we officially say that? Is DeAndre Hopkins one of the best wide receivers in the league?
Oh, he's always been in that argument of one of the best. Yes, absolutely.
I think this year he's at number 1. He is absolutely disgusting right now. All right. Whether it's a jump ball, whether it's good route running, or whether it's taking space away where the defense is focused on him and, I don't know, they just give it to Christian Kirk underneath and he goes for, 60-something yards. So he's doing all the right things, even decoy stuff. So Arizona is my pick. Definitely going to cover the spread.
It's amazing what happens when you actually have a half-ass good quarterback on throwing you the ball.
It's funny how that works out.
For a guy who's as talented as DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, especially absolutely, go up against the kind of things he's done. It's crazy.
Hey, man. And Kyler Murray is getting better every game.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Absolutely.
Him and his coach, I think, have a very good, relationship. You see the mistakes he makes. He doesn't make them again the next week, man. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, that's what you want to see out of your young quarterback for sure. Oh, Chris has got quite the game next. The Coach of the Year candidate.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow, yeah. Let me add in what this is like for one of the teams in this game. Because the New York Jets are absolutely horrid at 0-10 as they welcome in the 6-4 Miami Dolphins, coached by Brian Flores, your Coach of the Year pick, who will not win, but that's okay. But we're looking right now. Miami is favored by 7, over and under at 44.5. The Jets have no answer for anything. They've been playing with Flacco at quarterback, which has been dismal. The running game has just not been there. The defense can't stop anybody. The Jets at times look like they might be able to start playing football and then all of a sudden forget. So, yeah, this is just going to be an entire game of sadness for those New York Jets fans that are going to be sitting there in a cold MetLife Stadium watching their team get pummeled for the 11th time this year. And dare I say, they might match the 0-16 Detroit Lions. It could happen, just saying. But I don't know. It's going to be bad. Miami's going to win this one. They're going to cover. They also benched Tua not too long ago, but Tua's still a young quarterback, still committed to him as a starter. So it's part of that maturation process. This will be another notch in his belt, though, as he further learns the NFL and does it against a super crappy New York Jets team. Sorry, guys, crap team perfection there.
Yeah, I don't.
I want to throw something in there. Is Tua starting?
Yes, they've already committed him to him as starter. He's the starter this week.
You sure?
Positive, 100%.
100%. Because last I heard, they were looking at Fitzmagic coming in and starting.
Nope. Everything I've seen, they said even following last week's game when he was benched that they are still committed to him as the starter, and he will be the starter going forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's the case, I retract my previous statement of Fitzmagic having a retirement game with 3 touchdowns. It doesn't matter who the heck is back there. I mean, right now you could put Shane Falco and he's gonna have 3 TDs against this New York Chiefs.
That is no lie.
Yeah, just a quick update from CBS Sports. Tua is downgraded on Saturday to doubtful, which means Fitzpatrick is possibly making his next start. But because Tua hurt his thumb on practice on Wednesday and has been very limited in workouts. So that's a possibility. We don't really know. I think it'll be a game time decision.
Game timer.
Yeah, but how is it? So bigger question, how is Adam Gase not fired yet?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Anybody? Yeah.
How's Matt Patricia out of a job, but, doesn't make any sense.
Well, maybe the Lions were the Jets were waiting for the Lions to fire Patricia first. So they're
going to hire Patricia.
Gase and then hire Patricia. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Did we just
Gase,
predict the future? I am burning Lions gear on air.
Oh gosh, I can't wait.
It's just a wife swap, man. Just think of it that way.
I said this before Gase went to the Jets. I said if the Lions hired Adam Gase, I was going to burn Lions gear on air.
Oh gosh, I can't wait till we do this. I'm so
and
excited.
I still
now.
stick to that.
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
You can't do that.
It's gonna happen.
But from from one Coach of the Year candidate to possibly another. 7-3 Cleveland Browns and Coach Kevin Stefanski. They're traveling to Jacksonville, who's 1-9. This is a CBS game. Jacksonville is +7. So this is going to be a rough game, I think, for both teams, because while the Browns are missing 5 players from the COVID list, including Myles Garrett, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they have like a laundry list of on their injury report. So they've unfortunately been really just marred by injuries this year. They weren't really expecting a whole lot to begin with, but Cleveland on the road, I think this will be one of those games that if Cleveland doesn't kind of look at the team in front of them, they could be in more of a fight than they're expecting. I do expect Cleveland to win and cover the spread. I think it'll be like a 10-point game, but it's just such a rough season for Jacksonville fans because you've got so many players are injured, and you don't really have many bright spots right now in this organization.
No, you know what though, Craig? I gotta say, Jacksonville though, the difference between them being at 1-9 and for instance your Lions, they have bright spots from the GM. You're talking about James Robinson, an undrafted running back that hit 1,000 yards. Last one to do that was LeGarrette Blount, and before him, Philip Lindsay. So they have some bright spots. They got some young receivers too. They just need to go ahead and get Trevor Lawrence, and next thing you know, next year they're looking at a pretty damn good team.
They got to find a way for the Jets to not draft him first.
If Adam Gase is still in the controls at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. As you know what, we got to get moving on to our 4 p.m. games because already our fearless leader is running only on Duncan right now.
Don't hate.
Hey, send us money. So we got the New Orleans Saints at 8-2, at the Denver Broncos at 4-6. Line is New Orleans at 6.5. Over under 44. Is this game even being played? Not. I mean, it's still kind of.
It's still on schedule. They're not talking about canceling it just because all the Broncos quarterbacks are on the COVID list.
Yeah.
They're still gonna play. There's not enough players to. If they're still gonna possibly play the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game, they're playing this game.
Exactly. Yeah. So it looks like this one's gonna just be a New Orleans Saints route. They are going to cover the spread. Taysom Hill, he might throw a touchdown this week. I think he might throw one.
We'll see. Who gets a touchdown first, Taysom Hill or Hinton if he actually starts at quarterback?
Ooh.
That's a
good one.
That's an interesting one. You know what?
Who throws for one? I'm not talking about running because Taysom Hill can do that.
I'll put money down if the spread is really, really like large. If that's an actual Vegas bet that if the odds are more towards making more if a Denver Bronco quarterback throws before Taysom Hill, I'll take it. I'll lose $100 at the possibility of getting, I don't know, 1,000 plus if the spread is that deep. But no, man, this is definitely a Saints team that is rolling even without Drew Brees because their secondary, surprisingly, extremely good. Not a lot of picks, not a lot of pick sixes, but defended extremely well. They are top 5 in the league as their secondary. So that's going to be the difference when you have no quarterback for Denver, but maybe John Elway.
who is still trying to suit up for this game. So we'll see how that works out.
He is. So let's go, Chris. What do we got next as you finish that beautiful croissant sandwich?
Oh, it's amazing. I'm not going to lie, but we have the 4-6 San Francisco 49ers traveling down to L.A. to SoFi Stadium to take on the 7-3 Rams. Line is set for the Rams at 6.5. However, let's not count out the 49ers in this. The 49ers have shown they are able to battle in games and win games that really no one thought they could be able to have a chance to win. But even better, now they're possibly getting not only Tevin Coleman back, but also Mostert back, which is going to be a huge boon for that running game. They really need it, as does my fantasy team. So please actually start this week and be able to get their bell cow back that can actually get them some yards and take pressure off the quarterback. Who would have thought, right? So the 49ers still have a chance. They still bolster a pretty decent defense given all the injuries it's had. This game, I think, is going to end up being closer than what people expect. However, the Rams are just still too talented. They have too good of a defense, a lot of receiving help, and Jared Goff is starting to bounce back and show that, hey, he's no fluke for that contract he has now. And I think the Rams are going to take this, but I think the 49ers are going to cover.
Solid move. I think last time I was on the show, I mentioned that the Rams are one of the worst teams with a winning record. Jared Goff must have heard me, and he said, I got to step up my game because, JDM over at Final Score is talking trash. So I respect it. He stepped up the last couple weeks. I respect it. He definitely came in and said, you know what? I need to get the ball out of my hands fast and get it to Kupp because that's what
it's like somebody else on this show called that a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
no, I don't know who that guy was.
Just saying.
Who knows, man? But let's move on to Sunday Night Football, where we have the Chicago Bears finally.
Not so fast, my friend. You're skipping me.
Oh,
You're skipping me, bro. Damn.
Look at him rolling on in
One
there.
of the best games of the week. You're skipping one of the best games of the week.
Is it?
It's going to be one of the best games of the week if you're a Chiefs fan.
Okay.
Ooh, there you go.
Chiefs at 9-1 travel to Tampa Bay to face the 7-4 Buccaneers. This game's going to be on CBS at 4:25. Over/unders at 56. Kansas City is favored by 3.5. I want to throw out a stat here that I think is going to be the difference maker. And for all the weapons that Tom Brady has, couple of things. For the Chiefs have won 5 straight, and this is the 8th consecutive year they've had at least a 5-game win streak. And Pat Mahomes, over that win streak, has thrown for over 312 yards per game, 14 touchdowns, and just 1 pick. He's only got 2 on the year. But here's going to be the difference maker. Tom Brady versus that defense. Tom Brady, over the past 3 games, he has been on throws of over 20 yards. He's 0 for 6.
Ooh.
He's 0 for 19 on such throws over the last 3 games with a couple of interceptions, including that one demolishing of 38-3 against the Saints. So that's going to be a big key here is are they going to be trying to chuck the ball down the field to get to those weapons? Or are they going to try to use the short to intermediate pass game, which Brady is surgical at? Can you get the ball out of Brady's hands quickly? Can you keep him upright? Can you at least muster some sort of a run game to try to help him out? That's going to be the thing here, because time of possession is what keeps Mahomes and that offense off the field. I don't think the Bucs are going to have enough to be able to compete, and I think this is going to be Chiefs in kind of a blowout. I'm going to think this is going to be a kind of a blowout. I think they're going to cover 3.5. I think it'll be kind of close early, but second half, I don't see the Bucs keeping up with the Chiefs.
Man,
I'm with you on that one. I'm definitely, you know what,
and
man?
I love me some
his age.
I love me some Brady, the Michigan man himself, but
yeah.
I can't. You got to be realistic here. The man's 43 years old, and you're right. He's starting to show his age a little bit. He can't throw the ball down the field.
40.
He's over 40.
He's over 40.
He's over 40.
He is showing his age a little bit. And when Peyton Manning was doing that, towards the end of his career, what did he have? Oh,
Garbage.
A phenomenal defense and a running game. And right now, I don't think the Bucs have that yet.
That's the other thing. The Bucs have great pass rushers, but they got to be able to get there. They're not generating enough pressure to force opposing quarterbacks into those mistakes, and that's what really kind of propelled them the first start of the year and even into last year, which is why the hype train got so big when Brady came over.
Well, another thing
you got a couple of good pass rushers on that team.
Yeah, but another thing you got to look at, too, is that they've been able to find some success on offense, but the one thing they're lacking is consistency. And that's the one thing that has shot them in the foot. And now that you bring AB into the entire mix, now you bring in a whole nother presence of guys that should be getting those catches that are now going to AB. AB's been one of the most targeted wideouts since he's joined the Tampa Bay Bucs. So it's hurt Gronk's numbers. It's hurt Mike Evans' numbers. It's definitely hurt Chris Godwin's numbers. So when you look at it now, are we force-feeding this to AB now, or... You know what I mean? So I wonder if there's now
Yeah,
an imbalance in the offense.
18 catches on 26 targets for Antonio Brown so far in the couple games he's been there.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's quite a bit. I mean, when you got a guy like Godwin who's supposed to be the like the Julian Edelman type guy for Brady in this offense is not getting those catches anymore, even those targets. That's one of the things that when we talked about AB joining this team, one thing that Chris, you and I talked about heavily is that I think it's going to really disrupt the flow of this offense, and it's shown so far.
It definitely has.
Definitely has. It definitely has, absolutely. And I don't think, Bucks don't have a shot in this one. Mahomes is going to be eating W's like Winston and Chris eating sandwiches. So
it's so good.
It's so good, man. You're making me jealous. All right, now
you can move on to SNL.
Now we can move on. Is it okay? Wait.
Yeah,
you could talk about the worst team at 500 or better.
Exactly. Sunday Night Football. Chicago Bears at 5-5, going to the Green Bay Packers at 7-3. The line is 9.5 for Green Bay. Over under 44. Yes, the Chicago Bears are finally at 5-5. They're finally where they are who they thought we were.
Exactly.
So, I'm definitely looking at the Green Bay Packers here in this game to cover and completely destroy the Chicago Bears. It won't be early, though, because the Bears defense still pretty solid with Khalil Mack. They're just going to get overtired. They're going to be exhausted by the time, how many times they're going to be on there and trying to chase Devontae Adams around on the field. And Rodgers is going to continue to move out of the pocket, make solid throws. I expect his tight end to play heavily in this game. This guy has been studying with George Kittle. He's trying to get the mullet like George Kittle. He's got the attitude with George Kittle. Him and Tanyan are good buddies. I think he's going to have himself a big game, and I look for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers to move on to 8-3 and continue to be a force in the NFC.
Woo! Had to throw it in there. But
why not?
Yeah, big thing here is Montgomery. David Montgomery is going to return this week, and one of the other things to watch out for is that matchup of Devontae Adams, and he's got 10 touchdown catches on the year. He's already got 68 catches. He's rolling right now. But having David Montgomery coming back for this team, he's a leading rusher for the Chicago Bears. Mitch Trubisky is going to get the start again. They just can't figure out who's going to be the quarterback, Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky. One gets hurt, the other one sucks. It's just it's tough if you're a Chicago Bears fan to have such a good defense and then not be able to show anything on offense.
You know what's funny? I always feel like every team that picks up Nick Foles is trying to capture lightning in a bottle anymore. Just because the only time Nick Foles plays good is when he's in an Eagles uniform. Like, let's be honest. So
yeah, that's it. 100%.
Or playing in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Look at his record as a starter before he went to Philadelphia, and then even since, obviously he didn't do well. He got hurt his first game with Jacksonville, which is really kind of a deflating thing to have happen to you. But yeah, you're right. He hasn't played well outside of an Eagles uniform.
Yeah, but things happen. Maybe we can bring him back and he can win us another Super Bowl. But yeah, speaking of the Eagles, who are now 3-6-1, are going to be welcoming the 7-3 Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's favored by 5.5, over under at 49. The Eagles don't, I think, realistically have a shot in this game. The offense has been sputtering and massively inconsistent, even though they have put out more starting lineups than any other team in the NFL. It's only amassed them 3 wins, so it hasn't mattered for much unless you're in the NFC East. So, is what it is. But Lane Johnson has now been ruled out for the season, given injury issues he's been having all year long, really. And it's just been dismal when it comes to the injury bug that's just been plaguing the Eagles all year long. Almost every single starter has been out at some point with an injury, with the exception of Carson Wentz. And it's been absolutely insane to see what's been happening to this team and how they've been able to really be in every single game. But sledding just gets tougher from here, starting with Seattle, who is a very good team with Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf, is running like a gazelle up the sideline and catching balls like it ain't nobody's business. Defense not as strong as it used to be, but still there and still serviceable enough against this, like I said, depleted Eagles team. I just don't see the Eagles mustering up enough to be able to get anything going. I think Seattle ends up taking this one and probably covering, probably winning by 7. But it's just going to be another sad chapter for the Eagles this year.
So Carson Wentz leads the NFL with 18 turnovers, 14 interceptions, career low in completion percentage and passer rating. That's how bad this team has been, the surrounding cast around him. But there's been a lot of rumors and rumblings that I've seen this morning that Jalen Hurts might be getting some serviceable time. And I would say that if that's going to be the case, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jalen Hurts come out, make some plays, energize his team a little bit.
So that's something that came out today, too. Jalen Hurts is expected to have an expanded role starting this week.
Absolutely, which is big. If you're an Eagles fan, you got to be a little excited about that because you need some sort of shot in the arm.
Something.
Even if it's you put him and Wentz on the field at the same time and do some kind of weird gadget stuff. Doug Peterson's going to have to do something about it. But dude, I'm sorry, man. Eagles. I know the Eagles offense, and they're so riddled with injuries. The Seahawks defense is bad, but Seahawks in a rout.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely, man. Come on, Russell Wilson is just playing at another level this year. All right, at the quarterback position, he really is. It's going to be one heck of a battle when we see him and Aaron Rodgers go at it for the NFC title or something like that, or in the playoffs or whatever that may be. But he's on another level right now, man.
Here's a fun fact for you because I like fun facts. Russell Wilson's 5-0 against the Eagles. And the Seahawks have won 6 straight meetings.
Well, let's be honest though, because at the end of the day, a lot of that is because Jadeveon Clowney's a dirty player. Let's be honest. At least one of those, anyways. I am not one to shy away from that whatsoever. I've always thought so, and he just proves it every single time he steps on the field, in my opinion. But still, they are 5-0 against us. He's
Russell
amazing.
Wilson has been playing at an MVP caliber level. I don't think he's got it because he's got too many interceptions, but he's literally been carrying this team on his back. Look how bad this defense is, what he's had to do with this offense. How many teams are really mad right now that DK Metcalf is looking like the stud that some people thought he was? And that talking about him being too stiff coming out of his routes. Bro, when you are that big and when you're that fast, I'm pretty sure that kind of stuff speaks for itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, DK Metcalf out there looking like he could do a tryout for freaking NXT these days.
He's looking like this. He's looking like this guy out here.
That's right.
Oh man, yeah, and it's no lie.
Megatron 2.0 right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
almost. He hasn't gotten the triple team at the line of scrimmage yet, so we can't be talking about it.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. I guarantee that. But
it's coming.
Oh my goodness, so much craziness.
Dude,
but
what do we do about this Tuesday night game, boys?
But this Tuesday night game.
What is this?
There's more news coming out about it too. That's the crazy part is that the NFL says they're still committed for this game to happen. They still say it's going to go on, even though the Ravens have not practiced since Tuesday when they closed down all the training facilities. Like we mentioned earlier, 18 Ravens have COVID-19 or were in contact tracing. Everything's absolutely going insane with this game. Yet the NFL is still committed to actually having it. What are you doing, NFL? You already had to delay it. Just cancel the damn thing. Let's just make it the first canceled game.
They're going to do anything they can to not cancel this game. Some miracle will come out that they'll end up playing this game Tuesday.
Oh yeah, Lamar Jackson will somehow end up coming out and just carry the entire Ravens on his back, playing wide receiver, quarterback, running back, fullback, and tight end for himself, and just throw the ball to himself over and over, and he'll end up winning the game. It'll be all right. So
it'll be good, man. They can do the computer graphics for that. Bugs Bunny's done it. It'll be solid. It'll be solid, man. I don't know, man. I say that this game, I think it gets canceled. I know you guys say NFL pushes it through and they freaking play it.
Nope.
I think it gets canceled and or it gets postponed to the end of the season and they extend the season.
And that's something that's still on the table.
Yep. That's something they talked about at the beginning of the year.
They have not done that yet where they said, okay, guys, we're going to take a week off. Everyone gets a quote-unquote bye week or whatever unless you have a game, and they play it.
Yep.
And they play it at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's something they definitely planned for at the beginning of the year, and we were like, oh yeah, that's not going to happen, and yeah, well here we are.
Yeah.
We're at that first
Staring in the face.
When was the Super Bowl last year? Does anyone remember the date of it? Because right now I'm thinking
First weekend of February.
First weekend of February? Yeah. No, last weekend of February is going to be the Super Bowl this year because they're going to have to extend the season.
Absolutely.
It's going to be Super Bowl and then March Madness right after.
NFL's going to do whatever they can to keep on track as much as possible.
Of course.
I think if they extend the season by 1 week only, and that's it, they do a bye week for all the other teams, like you mentioned, that have already played all their games. They're going to have a week, then that maybe a week off between playoffs, but highly doubtful, and then just keep rolling.
Man,
if the Super Bowl gets delayed, it gets delayed by 1 week.
Maybe, but no matter what, if they end up adding another week on just for the Steelers and Ravens to play, that every Steelers fan out there is going to cry foul of how their team had to lose their bye week and they had all their games switched around, and oh my gosh, another game at the end.
Here's your bye week.
Yeah, here's your bye. Enjoy it now.
Right now. And let me tell you, if the NFL pushes it back like they're going to, and they push it back 1 week, there's going to be a lot of disappointed people for Valentine's Day. I'm telling you that right now. There's going to be a lot of breakups. There's going to be a lot of fights. It's going to happen. But with that, let me tell you, if you're in one of those kinds of situations, Craig, why don't you tell us what you can get to kind of ease the tension of those breakups?
Well, I mean, if that comes to be where the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day, you can just give the gift of PCN merch. You can give the gift of Podcast City Network merch or Final Score merch. We've got a lot of stuff on PCN Shop. We have neck gaiters to protect you from COVID-19. We're working on some face mask designs as well for PCN, your favorite shows that are on the network like Final Score. You can get a mug for your morning coffee. That's got a nice little PCN logo on it, not the Infinity Gauntlet. That's for me. You can get yourself some Podcast City Network T-shirts, Final Score T-shirts. We've got you covered on PCN Shop, and we're always coming up with new things that we can put up on the store. So if you want to check it out for either your favorite show or for Podcast City Network, go to podcastcity.net/shop and check out the lineup of everything that we have to offer.
Absolutely. So much great stuff that we have, and so many new items always coming out. We're always working to try and bring new and exciting things to the shop. So definitely make sure to keep your eyes peeled, as there will always be some new stuff coming out at some point. So definitely make sure to check it out. But I think it's time.
So
it's time for something new.
Is it time?
It's time.
Yeah, it is time for something new. And you know what, guys? I got to get really serious with you boys a little bit, really quick. It's an important issue that we definitely need to talk about. So just so you guys know, my wife beats me at fantasy football every freaking week. All right. I don't know what happens, but it's just, I overthink it. I don't know what I'm doing, or it's because she is an absolute stat queen. So imagine you're living in your house, and everything's going well, everything's all peachy, you're doing the dishes, you're talking about some fantasy football. What does she do? She's on the phone. She just listened to a couple things that she said or you said, and she swoops in and picks up that player that you were talking about. And you're like, what the hell was that? She picked up Devontae Freeman before anybody knew who the hell Devontae Freeman was. And when he had that monster year a few years back, that took her to one title. That took her to another title. That took her to another title. She's got 3. I'm sitting on 1. It's just not. It's not fun, man. It's just not fun.
So
I don't know.
In reality, you're saying that she beats you in fantasy football.
Yes, she does.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So does she got some insight for us this week on fantasy football then? Since she's the master of the house.
She is the master of the house, and she's got some great insight. Here are some secret starts from the stat queen. That's what I like to call her. So first up, we got Mike Williams from the Chargers. He's been a boom or a bust kind of a receiver. He either goes off or he does nothing. But with a huge defense like the Bills, all they're going to do is Keon Allen. They're going to double up on Allen. They're going to float the safety over to his side. And guess what? 15 points or more to the second receiver of teams the Bills have given up. They may not give up a lot of points, and their defense may be pretty solid, but guess what? Sneak in Mike Williams into your lineups. Definitely one of those, because guess what she's going to do? He's going to just go off. He's going to get you 15-something because everybody's focused on the number one receiver, man. It's too much. That is stat number 1. Number 2, here's another one that I got for you guys. Running back, Hines with the Colts. Jonathan Taylor is out with COVID. And Hines, when he is in a game with 12 to 15 touches, he produces 15 or more fantasy points. And by the way, here's something that we're going to throw it back. We're going to bring it back a little bit. What did Hines do against the so-called Tennessee defense that you think the Titans are going to win? Oh, he just went up and had 115 total yards with a rushing TD and a receiving TD. That's actually more than Henry.
But it was only by about, what, 8 yards, 9 yards? 12 yards, actually, but...
And they got the W, and he had 2 touchdowns. Don't forget that. We're talking fantasy points. It doesn't matter if you get blown out and you're on the Jacksonville Jaguars, but if you end up with 20-something fantasy points, that's a W.
That's why I got Tyler Boyd on my bench.
That's why, exactly. 2 more little notes from the stat queen herself. Running back Mike Davis, despite his struggles with Carolina, he could get a lot of receptions this game because the Vikings have given up the 4th most TDs through the air this year. So not only are you looking at Mike Davis to get a receiving TD, Curtis Samuel is also a nice play in your flex spot for the Carolina Panthers with Teddy Bridgewater coming back at quarterback. The final one is that Colts defense, who, held Ryan Tannehill to 147 yards just 2 games ago. Come on. And had 2 turnovers. Apparently, our fearless host leader here has a little bit of dementia or short-term memory loss. And he thinks that the Colts D is going to step up. I mean, what did you eat for Thanksgiving? Did the turkey have something laced in it, dude? Come on. I mean,
Don't
it's fine if it did.
We're not in Washington, we can't just do those things.
No, I'm just telling you, man, it's not going to be pretty. The Colts defense is going to be a must start in your fantasy lineup because Tannehill will throw a couple picks, he will fumble the ball, and they will find a way to pull up another win over the Tennessee Titans. I'm sorry, they got their number. That defense has their number. They fly to the ball, they cause turnovers, and that's all you need.
Oh, man.
Those are your 4 must starts. And guess what? They don't come from me at all. As a matter of fact, I don't agree with any of these decisions, but she has titles and I don't. So therefore, listen to the Stat Queen. Those are the 4 picks from the Stat Queen because guess what? My wife beats me at fantasy football.
Oh, that is too good. That is way too good. I literally had people messaging me during this segment. I literally had people messaging me during this segment saying, "Oh my God, does your wife actually beat you?" It's like, no, please just listen to the show. It's fine. And then my wife messages me and is like, "Oh, you're lucky about the title of that segment." I'm like, "Why? You gonna come beat me?" Oh my gosh, it's too good.
Oh.
It's too good. Oh my gosh. But you know what else is really good?
So while you've been doing that, I've been taking her advice.
Boom, put it up.
He's trying to win him some fantasy.
Hey, I got some trash fantasy teams this year, so COVID's ravaged half my roster. I have 5 starters out this week in one league.
Gosh,
that's hysterical. Because as we're doing that segment, I did see that Craig had his head down a little bit, and I was like, man, look at what's he doing, and he's like, oh, I'm taking notes. That's what
absolutely. I'm on the waiver wire right now, man.
We actually had a little bit of history apparently come through. We have a Browns coach that's making history today. Callie
Oh, wow.
Bronson will be the first woman to coach an NFL position group in the regular season as she fills in as tight ends coach because the tight ends coach is actually out today. So a little bit of history being made today.
Oh, very nice. Excellent. Well, real quick, Final Score fans, let me know what you thought of the segment. If you want to bring it back, giving you guys some fantasy football tips. I'd love to continue to bring that segment to you guys. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments, and let me know how your team does.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, let's love to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what else people love to hear? Final Score. There's a lot of great places that you can listen to it at. Where can they listen to us, George?
Oh, man, are you kidding me? What a transition that was. I was barely ready for it. You guys can take a listen to us on audio through Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts. On video, you can catch this whole show on YouTube. Just search keyword Final Score, one word, or also head over to podcastcity.net/Final Score. Thank you, Transition King. Very well done.
I do what I can. Do what I can. But yes, definitely make sure to check us out. Give us a like, give us a follow. That way you can make sure to stay up to date on all the latest because we're always throwing some stuff out at you. Just like we're going to throw week 13 of the college football season right at you because it was a crazy doozy and a lot of games were postponed or flat out canceled again. Just shows you the age of COVID that we live in now, that no game is safe. And some of the most notable games, 5 ranked games went out. Number 4, Ohio State against Illinois. Number 7, Cincinnati against Temple. Number 11, Oklahoma against West Virginia. Minnesota at number 16, Wisconsin. And number 25, Tulsa at Houston. Now, the reason this matters so much is because when you look at teams like number 4, Ohio State, and number 7, Cincinnati, these are teams that are vying to try and make the playoff. And if you don't play enough games, you might not even be able to qualify for your own conference championship, let alone the college football playoff. And that's what Ohio State is dealing with right now because they might not even be able to qualify for the Big Ten title game. So it's been just absolutely insane to see all this happening. What are we going to be looking forward to, I guess, once we get to the point of selecting the teams for the playoff?
Oh,
We're going to look at an SEC Final Four playoff because that's all that matters, apparently, to ratings and to the college football. Is that as long as you have 4 SEC teams, then you're fine. You're good. You will get all the money you need, man. Oregon had a chance at it, and they went and, pooped the bed. I'm not going to say, the other way, but pooped the bed. Because they had a shot at going 4-0 and actually maybe getting into the conversation with a rivalry game.
Yep.
Up by 2 touchdowns. And what did they do? Oh, I don't know. Nothing.
Gave up 22 points in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
That's
to
disgusting.
in-state rival Oregon State.
That's disgusting. You can't do that in a rivalry game. You got to show up and put your rivals down to the floor if you want to be even considered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Big 12 is going to be out as well because the best team in that conference right now is Iowa State, who had an upset on the road against Texas, which is great, put them at 7-1, but you're still at number 13. The team that had the best chance was Oklahoma State earlier this year. They laid an egg as well. So the Big 12 is out. The only teams that you really outside of the SEC that have a chance, Notre Dame's number 2. They won against ranked North Carolina on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And Ohio State. Ohio State's number 4, I believe, right now.
Yes.
Yeah, number 4. This is how bad. No, they'll qualify. This is how bad.
They're not gonna qualify.
This is how bad this season. This is how bad the season's been for college football. The Iron Bowl was this weekend, and nobody cared.
Well, Alabama also blew out Auburn, so
Right, but that's what I'm saying is that you didn't hear about it because nobody cares because so many games keep getting postponed.
True story.
Yep, and it was a rivalry kind of weekend. Texas A&M demolished LSU 20-7. Northwestern was actually ranked 8th, and they got upset. So they're forget it. If you even wanted them in the conversation, at least even in a big bowl game, forget it. Gone.
To their credit, though, they are only looking at the Big Ten championship at this point. Even if they went undefeated and got to the Big Ten title game, they're not making the playoff. Let's be honest here.
Oh yeah,
they're not the name that the committee wants, but they still can win next week at Minnesota and get in the Big Ten title game against most likely Ohio State. But you mentioned it's a rivalry weekend. This is usually the weekend that Michigan gets their ass kicked by Ohio State. That's not happening this weekend. Michigan ended up still losing to a previously winless Penn State program.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's got it. That again, I'm not throwing that in this show. A, because that'll run really long, and B, that could be its own show just by itself. So
well, just to put the reality though with Ohio State, you have to have. I think it was 6 or 7 wins to make it into the Big Ten title game. They're only going to play 6 games, period. All they have left is Michigan State and Michigan. And with that on the docket, that's not going to be enough to get them in. And with a 6-0 Ohio State team, even if they run the table, they're not getting in the playoff with only 6 wins. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I think at this point, the Big Ten has kind of shot itself in the foot. Indiana also not having the best time. Northwestern was looking like possibly the best shot. Northwestern went down to Michigan State. So now you're looking at another conference cannibalizing itself.
I'm going to strongly disagree here, because if the Ohio State Buckeyes get to 6-0, get to play 6 games and win, they will make the Big Ten title game. They will win. They will get.
They're not eligible. They have to have 7 wins in the Big Ten to make the Big Ten title game, though. They're not going to make it. They've already been mathematically eliminated in that sense. That's the problem. Yeah, that's what everybody's talking about, is the fact that Ohio State has no shot at making the Big Ten title game because they don't have enough games. Now, not saying that some of these previously canceled games may not get rescheduled. They do have, I believe, the Big Ten title game scheduled, I think, for the 3rd or 4th week in December. So they might have 1 week to squeeze something in. But as of right now, they're not going to qualify. So I don't know.
And if they don't qualify, you're looking at Florida or Texas A&M sneaking into that 4th spot, depending on what happens in the SEC. Because that's what it's all about right now, boys. I'm sorry. It's SEC or nothing. We're sprinkled in with a little bit of Irish luck. Like, that's it, man.
Well, for the Irish to get in, they either have to play Clemson stupidly close or win in the ACC title game. That's the only way Notre Dame makes it all the way in. Just because since they already have that win, whether you want to put 8 million asterisks on it or not, they still beat the number 1 team in the country, and they still held Etienne to less than 30 rushing yards. So no matter what, they are a team to deal with, and they have a top 10 defense with a top 5 scoring defense. So you're not going to have a great day playing against Notre Dame. So, and let's not forget, and this is one stat I want to throw out here, North Carolina was plus 133 in score differential in the 4th quarter this season, leading the entire nation. Clemson was number 2 with 86. Notre Dame held that team to 0 points in the 4th quarter. So the defense is for real. Notre Dame is for real. And it's going to be interesting once we hit the playoff time. But like you said, there's a lot of SEC bias. So if that ends up coming into play, who knows? Who knows what will happen?
SEC is going to get the benefit of the doubt here because they've been the most adamant about not giving in to COVID. Yeah. It basically is what it comes down to, and they're going to be the beneficiaries of it. It's sad because you see this, and I've been on this soapbox for the whole college football season. This shouldn't even happen. This college football season shouldn't even be played. But here we are, and this is what we have to deal with as college football fans, and it's probably going to be one of the least watched college football playoffs in ever since they started doing it.
Absolutely. And I'm with you on that soapbox too, man. These are still kids in my eyes.
Yep.
They're still kids in my eyes. They do not get paid to play this game. All right?
Yep.
And you are still making millions of dollars off of them playing this game. I'm not going to get into that argument because that argument has a bunch of other stipulations to it, right? We could talk about that all day. That could be a whole show. But when it comes to the 2020 year with COVID and everything, you are literally putting money before health of youngsters.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
you know,
the entire sports business puts money money in front of health and wellness of players, but that's not new information. But
No, definitely
I
isn't.
just want to know one thing. It's kind of moving on here a little bit. So is the cure to COVID in Saban's blood? Just saying. Can we? Is that like in his blood? Because he's been apparently contracted COVID for the third time,
Mm-hmm.
and he's still fine. So is it in his blood? Do we just got to get Saban blood going, or
Yeah,
what?
we just gotta get some
Is that
of
gonna
it
be
and
the
just reduce it down into a vaccine to where not only will you be able to fight COVID-19, but you'll be able to go out and play amazing Alabama football every single day and be a winner. Wait a minute.
If Alabama fans didn't have a reason to make Nick Saban basically God status already, beating COVID 3 times, like,
They're going to name the
That's
field after
crazy.
him. Watch. It's going to be Nick Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium with the Nick Saban COVID-19 cure to the side. I'm telling you, it's perfect marketing. But what's funny, though, is that they actually talked to Saban about the win because Alabama went out and embarrassed Auburn 42-13. Saban lauded his coaching staff, but said he did have to yell at the TV a few times. And if that doesn't show you how little COVID-19 is affecting him, I don't know what does. Still trying to coach with the TV.
there you go.
probably one of the biggest news stories that come out of the college football weekend, though, is Trevor Lawrence kind of maybe hinting at his future a little bit.
You think so? You
I
think
think
that
he
was,
did.
or do you think he kind of? I think he did.
Well,
It's
Yeah.
definitely possible.
if you didn't read the quote, he did say last night in Death Valley, wouldn't want it to go out any other way after they beat Pitt 52-17. So I don't know. That sounded like this might be the last season.
Yeah, it definitely did sound like it. And what a way to do it too. 52-17. He showed exactly why he's ready. And I think that's what it comes down to. He's not focused on who's going to draft him. He's focused on himself. And if he's ready, then he's ready. Like
Mhm.
he's just going to deal with what he gets, from the NFL when it comes. Like let's deal with that later. But, he's looking at this year as being like, could you imagine if we went through another year like this? I can't
Yeah.
I can't afford to do that. My career cannot afford to do that. What if I get hurt? I need to go to the NFL. That's what it comes down to.
Ew, but you end up at the
Yeah,
Jets.
he's done as much as he can do in college, and you're right. This is his point to go pro. I mean, start making money. You're going to be the number one pick no matter what year you come out. He could have been number one last year had he been able to come out. So, yeah, it's going to be now who does he go to? Most likely the Jets, but there's possibility depending on who's running that team. I don't know. Maybe he's a Jaguar. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know,
There's
who
all
knows?
kinds of possibilities, but I think he's focused on that. He just knows that he's ready now.
Maybe.
We'll worry about where he goes when draft day comes, like when it gets closer to that.
Well, the thing is, because
I
of fear alone, though, he might not. And another thing, too, I know he still wants to try and win a Heisman. So that could happen this year, maybe, even though he missed 2 games. Maybe not. See what happens. But I think a lot of things are still going to be up in the air. And I'll bet money he probably hasn't even decided at this point yet. Season's not even over yet. We still have to figure out how we're going to do playoffs and get through that. I'm sure everything's probably a one day at a time kind of approach right now. Excuse me, especially after him having COVID.
Guarantee you that's in the back of his mind, though. This is his last
sure,
year.
absolutely.
Yeah, you're right. He probably hasn't made an official decision, or even amongst his own, inner circle. But I would venture to guess that he's probably going to lean towards leaving after this year. Because how many guys say that, like, yeah, I want to stay and win a title again or a Heisman, this and that, and they leave anyway. The lure of the NFL is too much at some point.
It is true.
Oh, definitely.
So do those dollar signs.
I want to throw up a huge congratulations to a bit of a mark in college football before we move on. The Buffalo Bulls running back Jarrett Patterson had himself a day, tying the FBS mark with 8 touchdowns and 409 rushing yards against a competitive Kent State team as the Buffalo Bulls. Bulls? Yeah.
Bulls, yeah.
Bulls. Buffalo Bulls win 70-41 in that victory on Saturday. I mean, just
tied
nice to see some records being broken in what's a chaotic.
Second most rushing yards in a game, passing Melvin Gordon, and tied for the most touchdowns in a game at 8 with Howard Griffith of the 80s, if anyone remembers that. Big Ten fans.
There you go.
So crazy. Absolutely
Yeah.
crazy. And hats off.
Absolutely
90s. Sorry,
just-
90s.
Yeah, he was just running away with it the same way that Chris is going to continue to run away with it. What do we got going on, Chris?
Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about our parent network, Podcast City Network, because Final Score is a proud member of Podcast City Network, which you can find us at podcastcity.net/Final Score. And PCN is your home for up-and-coming independent podcasts, and you can find them on social media, on Facebook at facebook.com/Podcast City Network, on Twitter at Podcast City Net, as well as on Instagram at Podcast City Net, and on YouTube by searching Podcast City Network, and on our website at podcastcity.net. So definitely make sure to go on there and get your latest fill of all the latest and greatest independent podcasts around with Podcast City Network. Whew, always
Just
fun.
running away with the crown, running away with the transition crown, dude. Way to go.
One of the things that talking about Thanksgiving and everything, we do have something else to be thankful for this weekend.
Mhm.
In college basketball made its return starting Wednesday night. Now that comes with also its own big asterisk, because in the first day, Wednesday, the first day that all games kind of started, we had over 20 games postponed or canceled due to COVID in the first day alone.
Thanks, COVID.
So just kind of more evidence that college games should not be being played right now. They should not be even a thought, but money talks. So here we are. Some of the big notable programs that have paused their whole season right now due to COVID: Temple and Butler in the A10, as well as the entire Ivy League, and there's a few others that have kind of thrown. There's a couple other like really small schools: Bethune-Cookman, Maryland Eastern Shore have suspended all their games. A lot of the tournaments games that we were supposed to be seeing. I know UCF was supposed to be playing Oklahoma. That didn't happen. There's a bunch of games that just haven't happened because of COVID, and here we are. But that's what's going to happen. We even had last night. I was watching the Notre Dame Michigan State game, and my head coach Mike Bray was out on Twitter saying, "Hey, we need a game for December 4th and 5th. Who can we play? Like, we need somebody to play now. Like, what can we do?" Which I think is really just kind of 2020 in a nutshell, along with the technology we have, is that coaches are out there literally lobbying with other, like the internet, to find a program for Notre Dame to play because they lost a game due to COVID. So
yeah,
it's been wild already, and we're only 5 days into the season.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's been absolutely insane.
And not taking any key hints from what the NBA did. I mean, we are still talking about the same sport, right? Basketball, orange ball.
It's impossible. It's impossible to do college basketball in a bubble. It is impossible.
Oh, of course, it's absolutely impossible. So if that's the case, and that how the NBA was able to pull it off, you would look at that and go, okay, this seems like maybe we should listen to one of the head coaches and do May Madness, not March Madness.
But remember this too. We're talking about the NCAA. Doesn't care about the players. Doesn't care about the student athletes.
It's all about money.
They only care. Yeah, it's all about the money.
All about the Benjamins, baby. And that's what the NCAA always cares about, which now they've been forced recently to kind of start slowly changing that position. But it's not going to be enough during a pandemic to be able to make the things what it really needs to be about, and that's the health and wellness of all these student athletes. Because it's definitely fallen by the wayside when you look at it, and it's been atrocious. And it's going to end up being just another nail in the coffin, because once we get through all this, I think the NCAA will not survive, and NIL laws will end up going into effect that are going to end up ruining the NCAA on a number of fronts anyway. So it's just going to be another nail in the coffin for the end of the NCAA, hopefully. But
yeah,
we'll
and I'm excited for that day to come, for them to finally be stripped of their power, or their perceived power, over these these student athletes. So,
Absolutely.
but we did have some exciting games. A couple of games we want to touch on just very quickly. Number 4 Virginia goes down to San Francisco. If you're not familiar, San Francisco Dons, also very famous program in college basketball. San Francisco went on a late 8-0 run to take down the number 4 team in the nation. Number 3 Villanova lost in overtime at Virginia Tech just in the last couple days. And on Thanksgiving, we had a big top 10 matchup. Number 1 Gonzaga, first time number 1 in their program's history. They take down number 6 Kansas on Thanksgiving in a track meet, 102-90. Gonzaga looked really good. I actually had a chance to watch a chunk of this game. Gonzaga looked really good. They had a big differential in points in the paint. And Kansas is still kind of retooling from losing a few players from last year, but Gonzaga looks really good.
Yeah, they really do look really good. But, man, when you look at some of these other games, though, it's just crazy looking at, like, number 3 Villanova losing in OT to Virginia Tech. That game was absolutely insane, went all the way down to the wire. And then all these other games we've been having, it's been interesting to actually see them get back to play, especially without, fans in these arenas in any way, shape, or form. And, yes, we'll talk about the fact that Notre Dame lost. We're not known as a basketball team, but we lost to Michigan State by 10 is what it is.
They looked pretty good. For either Michigan State is not the number 13 team in the country, or Notre Dame is going to be in position to have a really good team this year. Because I had a chance to watch a bit of this game. They only lost by 10, but Notre Dame came out firing. They're going to be one of those teams that they're exploiting matchups. They're going to be shooting. They're going to be shooting a handful of threes. They're kind of playing like an NBA team this year as far as how they approach the game. Which, of course, I think that's going to bode well in the ACC. And they looked pretty good even though they lost. Other teams, just kind of teams to highlight. Michigan won this week against Bowling Green, so they went 1-0 this week. Western Michigan, my alma mater, lost a tough game at Butler, which is a lot closer than what I was expecting. So that's good to see with the new regime there. Jacksonville University went 2-0 this week. Florida Gulf Coast went 1-0 this past week. University of North Florida went 0-2. USF South Florida went 1-1. They beat Florida College, very small school here, and then they lost against Rhode Island. Florida International went 1-2, and then the rest of the games, teams from around the state of Florida. UF has not played a game yet, and then Stetson, UCF, Miami, and Florida State all are 0-0 because COVID has wiped out all of their games.
Yep. So, I mean, and Miami, FSU definitely looking to try to get in some kind of a March Madness picture, UCF as well. And it's going to be tough, especially when you're talking about all the teams in Florida that also can do tournaments within each other, not playing due to COVID. Well, you're just going to continue that trend if
it's going to be yeah, it's going to be wild to see. Normally we have 30 games in a year for college basketball, roughly. And it's going to be weird to see some teams only getting maybe like 15 to 20 games. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the selection committee handles that, much like with college football, but on a much bigger scale. When you got teams that only play maybe 15 games and you're normally playing 30. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough.
The big question I have, though, are we going to see a full complement for the tournament? Are we going to see all the full entire field fielded, or are you going to see a reduced tournament this year?
I don't think that's been addressed yet, but that's a great question. That's a great question.
That's a very good question. Who knows, man? At this point, they got to do something. Because you're talking about the first 5 days, and we had this many cancellations. They will have to do something.
And knowing the NCAA, they're not even going to address it until probably January.
Exactly.
Let's
see what happens.
But you know
Probably after Christmas.
But you know what? You know who always addresses things and makes sure that you're always on the up and up. If you need that help or that little bit of push to make your podcast better, you got Podcast City Network. Craig, what can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. You got Podcast City Network. At PCN, we offer an array of membership services, including logo design, branding, social media advertising, live podcast hosting, and much, much more. You also gain access to our network of shows. We have 18 right now on the roster. And that network gives you cross promotion. You can swap guests. You just helps your overall reach while also becoming part of an ever expanding PCN community that's based on people helping people. The best part is there's no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Definitely make sure to check us out, podcastcity.net. So much stuff going on. So much so that we have people that, out of the kindness of their hearts, make amazing and hilarious memes about the network, about Final Score. And now we're turning it into a segment called Social Madness. And I'm not going to lie, there's definitely some good ones this week. We got 7 of them for you. And we're going to have to hit it just right off the top because, when we were setting up for this week's show, we didn't know exactly how things were going to go. Craig, we knew originally you had some Thanksgiving plans, and we were trying to pull in George. So, when that call was
COVID.
made, when the call was made, we said Final Score needs a host. Couch Dad podcast fans be like, hey.
Man, they were absolutely excited, including all my students, actually, that I teach for a virtual class for the sports report. We're like, you're going to be on Sunday? I'm there. So
Nice.
They're all super excited, and I sent them that meme, and they thought it was hysterical. None of them know who that guy is, but they just still thought it was hysterical.
Oh,
Dang,
you gotta love
tough
it.
crowd.
But you know what? When we did find out we had Craig, we knew we were going to get a vital piece of what we do best, and that was calling out NCAA teams for the COVID-19 results.
Of course. That is always a must.
Always
like,
a
hey,
must.
Always.
Oh, it's too good. It's too good. I tell you what, there's some good ones this week, guys. All right, so the third one we got on tap, this is called The Dumbest Man Alive, because this guy says he prefers SportsCenter to Final Score, so clearly he is dumber.
He's given the crown of dumbest man alive.
Yes, yes.
Somebody's got to make him a trophy, maybe like a nice, bull scrotum or something like that, like a toilet bowl trophy or something, because obviously he thinks there's only one network around. Not only that, he only thinks the SEC is the only thing that exists. There's no other.
There's more teams outside of the SEC.
The Patriots still have Brady too, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness! All right, but this
They
next
mix
one,
a couple different fan bases.
right?
Yeah.
But this next one I pulled, I saw it was just too funny not to post. This one wasn't even created for us. I just had to share it. But it was Lions fans' reactions to Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn being fired, and I think it speaks for itself. I think it's great.
Is it the? I can't see it. Is it the Office one?
Yeah, it's the Office one.
I'm generally so happy right now.
I really couldn't be happier. Yeah. Oh, it's too good. Oh, it's too
that
good.
was great.
We needed to try to find a way to put Craig's face on that guy's face instead.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, should have.
Like that, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay because
Great.
for those intimate times that you have, with your lady friends, because our wife beats us. When she tells you
fantasy football.
in fantasy football, but when she tells you tie me to the bed and do whatever you want, what better time than to go watch Final Score?
Oh, that's great.
Oh.
In a nice little Podcast City Network hoodie, while you sit there checking your lineup, going, "Damn it, I should have started Williams."
Yeah, it's funny.
Should have listened to the Stat Queen. Should have listened to the Stat
Queen. But it's funny. We actually had some people come back about our polos. Or our hoodies. I mean, saying that they were super soft. So hey, I'm gonna have to go get me one now.
Absolutely. You should have already had one. We be not buying your own product.
Hey now.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Oh, I will not say no.
Buy your lady friend a hoodie, because Jimmy says he has yet to be in the doghouse, because that is exactly what he did. He went out, got his lady Podcast City Network hoodie, and he is officially out of the doghouse for the next I don't know, a couple days.
Couple
Who knows?
days.
I was
See
gonna say
how
12 or
long-
13 minutes,
Hopefully it
but
lasts all year, buddy. I hope it lasts all year.
right. But you know what? There's still teams that are in the hunt for the playoffs, as well as the number one pick. And oh yeah, that's both of our teams right now, Craig.
Yep, absolutely. Top 5 pick or bust is what we're doing.
Right? God, I can't believe we got
Adam
our
Gase
faces
at
on
the
there
wheel,
too.
I'm sure he'll trade that number one pick to one of you guys.
I'd be down if he wanted to trade the number 1 pick to the Lions. That's fine.
Oh my gosh, so insane! You guys,
We'll
you
give him
would
a-
need a
we'll
number
give
one
him a
pick to
se-
fix your problems.
We'll get him a 7th round pick in exchange.
Oh my
There you
gosh,
go.
because
That's a
COVID.
steal.
Oh my gosh, just make trades with the Texans. You know. Oh wait, Bill O'Brien's gone. Never mind. But yeah, you like that one. But you know what? Final Score always tries to bring it every week because sports shows don't always do it like we do because we got them memes. So, God, I love that rock meme. That's such a good one.
That's great. We love the fan made memes. Keep sending those our way. Tag
For
us
sure.
tag us at PCN Final Score, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can message them to us on Facebook. You can send them
Yes.
to us pcnfinalscore@gmail.com. We love to see them. We'll show them on air.
Absolutely. So many good ones too, and a lot of these ones I think, if I'm not mistaken, were thanks to our super fan Jimmy, who's been just on a roll with these memes lately. They've been absolutely amazing. Please keep it up, bud. We love showing them. We love seeing them. Such great stuff. I love it absolutely, just as much as I love Podchaser. What can you tell us about Podchaser, George?
Man, let me tell you, Podchaser is on a roll as well. It is your daily source for podcast discovery. Apple Podcasts is no longer the only credible place to rate and review podcasts. Follow creators, browse every podcast ever, and rate and review episodes, especially ours. Let me know how that segment of My Wife Beats Me at Fantasy Football was doing. You can do that review right there on Podchaser. Go to podchaser.com and search keyword Final Score, one word, una palabra. Follow, rate, and review us.
Absolutely. And, you know, we're always trying to do everything that we can to bring the very best that we can. So being able to leave us those reviews and let us know how we're doing really helps us be able to shape the show for what we try to bring. And that's the absolute best. So to bring the best show, we got to know how we're doing. Leave us a rating, leave us a review, and let us know how we're doing. So definitely great stuff. But that means, though, that it's time for the week ahead, and we got some stuff on tap as well as a nice little announcement. Craig, what can you tell us about a little announcement that we have?
Absolutely. Well, Final Score is looking for contributors to help with the podcast, whether it's coverage for new segments and new podcasts and things of that nature. We're looking to grow the Podcast City Network sports family. And we're looking for a sports writing role for those who want to gain some resume experience. You want to build your brand as a journalist. If you love sports and you just want to grow in the business, if you want to learn more or think you'd be a great fit for the team, message Final Score on Facebook, or you can email us at pcnfinalscore@gmail.com for more information.
Absolutely. So definitely, if you're interested, make sure to message us. I would love to listen to you, see what you got going on, and see if you're a great fit for what we got going on over here. You can also look forward to Double Dime, which will be live tomorrow night on YouTube Live. Just search for Fixed Edge on YouTube or on Twitter at Fixed Edge, and you can be able to find the link for the live stream when they go live. They typically try to go live before the Monday night game, so they haven't put out an exact time for tomorrow. But definitely keep your eyes peeled, and I'm sure they'll have that information up as soon as possible. And of course, we can't forget next week, Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern for episode 84 of Final Score. We keep on going up, and that's what we try to do best, is to keep on going. That's right. Apollo style. So, AAF champs. Anyways, but still, catch episode 84 next week, 10 a.m. Eastern, live here on Facebook Live. Just search for our Facebook page at PCN Final Score. Give us a like, give us a follow, check mark for notifications so you don't miss out when we go live. But that means that's the end of our episode. Any final words, gentlemen?
Oof. I don't know, man. You got anything for you? I know you're ecstatic, brother. I know you're ecstatic. You're like, Viva la revolución.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We're getting in there.
fun week of college basketball ahead, but want to thank George of Couch Dads Podcast for joining and having you on. It's always a lot of fun. We always enjoy having you on. So looking forward to the next time. And that's it. Enjoy some football this weekend, and go share with your friends. PCN Final Score, PCNshop.com. We might be doing a little bit of a holiday deal special for the shop. Be on the lookout for it. We'll see. But go get your gear now to make sure you get it in time for Christmas.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. I am going to announce to everybody on the Couch Dads Facebook group. If you go ahead and go to www.facebook.com/group/couchdads, any dads out there that are looking for some stuff, I'm going to be posting up some awesome merch of Podcast City Network. So you guys can definitely check it out there. It's a pleasure to be on. I'm getting ready to go watch some football. I got to make sure I do my tinker time real quick. Being involved. Make sure everything looks like it's on the up and up. Love having you guys on.
Absolutely. Always a good time. Always try to have a lot of fun on here. But until next time, I'm Chris, and that's Craig and George, and you guys have just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night.